a really simple word game from scratch called Shibutori. Not like exactly from scratch, but with like a bit of a template to kind of show you like how it's done. Hopefully it won't be that complicated. Shibutori is a word game where a bunch of players kind of say words. So maybe my first word is sheep. Let's say we're playing with a category of animals. So I say sheep, and then Bob, who's next, thinks of a word, specifically an animal that begins with the last letter, which is the last letter of sheep is P. So Bob has to think of a word that starts with P, like penguin. And then Carol, who's next, has to think of a word that starts with N. Let's say an animal that starts with N. That's kind of hard. Okay, well, I failed. And maybe in this case, Carol would run out of time and lose. But that's how like Shibutori kind of works. So in English, you might call it word chain. But Shibutori is like kind of the Japanese name. It's more familiar to me. So I'm going to try to implement it. It should be kind of simple. The idea is this should serve as like a kind of simple template for other people to use to build their own online board games. So some technologies I'll be using include Vue, first of all. That is a JavaScript framework that I am kind of writing up right now. It's imported over here. And basically that's how we start with some data and show it on the screen. The second thing I'll be using is Firebase, which is a way to go ahead and synchronize this data between different computers, different players. So those are like the two main things I just want to cover today, like using Vue, using that, and maybe Bulma, which is a UI library, a CSS library specifically to make our buttons and like text boxes like look a little bit better than the standard ones. So this should already kind of load a little bit. I'm gonna go to so one thing I need to do first is run my entire HTML file, like serve it as a server. So that's python-m http.server 80, let's say 11. And then I can just go to localhost 8011 / and then this is the shibutori.html page. So shibutori.html. And I don't find anything. That's exciting. That's probably because Shibutori is inside component, so I need to move it out as its own file. Now it's in the main one-word directory. One more time. Okay, there we go. We don't see much. It's kind of hard to see. Maybe I'll give it a background color because it's really hard to see the white box right now. So background, let's say, make up some numbers, like a hex code that might look kind of okay. 420. Haha, 420. Need to add a semicolon here. And I guess I need to put this in the HTML actually. HTML. There we go. This is still kind of dark, so let's make it lighter. It's a little bit more pleasing on the eye, so like increase these numbers by a lot. 8, 6, 4. Okay, it's still kind of dark. Let's try but we're moving into the letters of the hex. A86. Good enough. Okay. So there's my mod tools box. That's the only thing that I have, and this button should do reset room. This is a function that I've already written, which goes ahead and sets the room in Firestore. Let's see. The most important thing about the room is the name, because that's that's kind of like the thing that uniquely identifies the room. So first off, I'm gonna go onto Firebase and create this room. So I already have a Firebase instance. So I'm gonna go to Cloud Firestore, and I'm gonna create not just a room, but the database of all different rooms. So this one specifically should be called Shibutori. Next. And I'll just create like a random thing that I won't be using. So Shibutori, that table is created. Cool. Now, I'm gonna fix the name of the room for now. So a simple way to do that would be to say input class equals input. So the first input is to tell HTML that this is an input. The second one is to tell Bulma that it's an input. That will make it look nice as a style. Let me see if I can show that to you really quickly. Input class equals input reset. No. Maybe that's it. That's all I need for an input. Yeah, it's this thing right there. Let me create a new box for it. Give class equals box. Again, the class are mostly things that Bulma uses to be able to style things. So here we go, reload. Yeah, there's the box, and it's an input. I can type this. Now, without this class into input, it would not look nearly as nice in Bulma. So let me show you that. Here, this is like the old style, the HTML view of things. All right, back to class equals input. We're going to say, save this, reload. Here we go. So for my first magic trick today, I'm going to kind of show you how to bind this input to something that's real. So in my data, we have, let's say, a player object and a room object. And one important thing of the room, again, is the name of the room. So I'm going to set it to be the empty string for now. And I'm going to bind it to whatever is typed into this input box. So let me put a title so people know that this is for the room, and then say v model. This is view model. The model for this input box should be the room.name. There we go. And then just to print it out, I'm going to type here, you are in, and then everything inside the double curly braces gets evaluated as like a JavaScript string, more or less. Room.name, exclamation mark. So let's try this. And if I type in hello or my favorite room, you can see it immediately shows up here. Cool. Really, really basic, but this is the start of our cool application. Now over here, I have the Vue DevTools installed, which lets me go in and take a look and see, in fact, that I have two objects in my data. One is player, one is room name. All right, here we go. So the next thing I want to do is start with the name of the room and upload it into my Firestore database. And for now, I just have some kind of really dummy structure of the room. So the reset function that I have built should take this and then upload it using this set room function that I've implemented. It's from my network code called firebase-network. And it does actually basically takes the name of the room and then sets the contents of that room to that. And it will show up here as that, as like a mapping of the document name. In this case, it will be, let's pick a default name of default room. So the name of default room should show up in here with this field of like not started, there's no rounds, there's no history yet, but those fields should exist anyways. To make this work, I'm also going to need to keep the name of the new room I'm creating. So this name should go to this.room.name. So what's going on is I'm creating a new object with the same name, and everything else is reset. That's why this is called reset room, right? And then I'm going to call my helper function set room, which is going to just take the contents of this room and upload it on Firestore. There's an await here because I need to wait for this. This is a slow kind of asynchronous action. So await means that my code will wait for it before it continues on. In this case, I don't have anything to do afterwards, so it doesn't make that much of a difference. But if I had some other code like console.log done, this is like a print statement, right? This would only print out after I'd finished the network trip. And this is important because network connections can be kind of slow. Sometimes they'll take like a few seconds and the user won't notice. Firestore is nice, and that's usually fast enough that the user will not notice. That's one of the reasons we like working with it so much. All right, back to work. We are trying to validate that our reset room functions work. So basically, reset room is going to get invoked when this button that we've created that has the text, reset room, is clicked. Let's see if that works. So default room, you are in default room. I'm gonna click reset room. Nothing happened here, but in this, oh, nothing happened here too. Well, that's unfortunate. Let's go look in the JavaScript console to see what failed, what broke. Oh, that's interesting. Let me try reloading the page one more time. The thing that's interesting to me is that I think I'm loading this from the wrong location, but nothing's complained to me that, like, for example, the set room function doesn't exist. Well, I'm gonna try fixing it anyways. Removing this dot, reloading, Control-Shift-R, and clicking reset room a couple times. But nothing's getting uploaded to. Let me try logging. Console.log. The other thing I could try doing is doing print statement debugging. And done is showing up. So set room is getting called. Oh, I know what's going on, I think. I didn't actually change the name of the Firebase database. This has to be Shibutori. This has to map to the document I just created. Because probably what I did is inside of the old room, encrypt, I probably was overwriting default rooms. Let's see if I can prove this. I'm gonna check out the name of here, and this is going to be default room, apply. It should exist, and it should have those fields that I just filled in. Yep. So second time's a charm. I'm going to try uploading default room again. Actually, I probably need to refresh this page. Upload default room, and then I got missing or insufficient permissions. Okay, that's good. That actually means that I just need to make a simple change to my Firestore rules. Here I have a bunch of rules about which tables I can write to. So you can see that rooms and content and encrypt, these are all different games. So I'm just gonna pick one more and say, copy it. And this one is my Shibutori table. So I'm gonna let anyone read or write to it. Shibutori. There we go. It's saved, and I should be able to refresh. I don't actually even really need to refresh, but let me try one more time. There, it worked, done. So I should be able to take out this print statement now. I should be able to check my table, and then see in the Shibutori thing, default room is created. Cool. Now if I change the room name, default room 2, I'm gonna reset it, and it is showing up. There we go. So this is a combination of Vue right now, this very simple Vue app that I've written, and Firestore, where when I do something, like if I click this button, it's going to make the Firestore call to upload this onto a cloud instance. Now, this isn't very interesting yet, because all I'm doing is setting the room to be one thing. Let's do something else in terms of being able to add information to the room. So in Shibutori, right, the goal is generally to have a player name enter a specific word. So I'm trying to think through how I even want to structure that in my room. So I currently have two things, right? Round and a history. Let's say we're going to try to play Shibutori over 3 rounds. So everyone's going to get to go, what is a round? Yeah. A round, let's say, is a sequence when everyone gets to have played once, like said a single word. And we're going to try to do that 3 times. And what's inside the round? What's like the contents of a round? You might think you would need to remember who has said something, and what else? Who is, and what they've said, basically. Maybe that's it. So you would just need like a mapping of something like names of people to the words that they have said. And maybe that's all I need for the round. I'm gonna create a separate object for it just to be a little bit safer. And let's just call this like words. And it's gonna be a mapping of players to, what is it called? To their words. So for example, it could be like Austin mapping to sheep. So it is empty right now though, and that is fine. Now I need to also have a place for people to be able to enter their own names in. So I'm gonna make that input class equals input the model equals player.name. So conceptually, player should be things that are only visible, only used for this client room. Source of shared data across all players. So this is kind of the source of truth. And player has things that are like only used for this like client, this like user interface. So in this case, we have like something like a name, and then let's say Austin for now will be the default name. So you are in default room. I don't need this anymore. I'm just gonna say the room is default room and the player is Austin. I'm gonna bold these a bit because now they'll make it like a little bit easier to read. Let's see, bold. All right. Yeah, there. Now they look like nice labels, kind of. Honestly, I kind of want like a line break here, but I'm not gonna optimize this too much. Okay, so this is the first section, and this is the kind of last section, the mod tools, the reset room. Let me just extend the gameplay on below this the first section. So let's say, actually no, let me create a new section for it. So the first section is kind of like login section, box. So this is kind of like credentials maybe, or login. This is where the game goes. And then this is the mod tools. Mod tools are really useful both for developing and also for like managing the state of a game while you're playing. What is going on in the game? Well, Shibutori the game should have a certain number of states. You not started is a common state, but also you could have Actually, Shibutori maybe doesn't let us out to having like states that well, because like one word has states. You could be like in the cluing state or the giving state, but Shibutori might just actually not need this concept at all. So it's a shame, but I think I'll leave it out for now. And then let's see, the game itself, you would need a place to type in your word. Whoops, that was not the shortcut I wanted. So it's definitely an input of some kind. And then where does this go? So in my head, it could go into two places. It could stay on the player until we hit the submit button, or it could be synced directly into the room thing. But I think saving it on the player is an easier thing to do. So player.word. And then I'm gonna say word is the empty string for now. And I'm probably also gonna need the submit button. So that's, let's see, button class equals button, and then at click. So this function will actually upload the word for my player. And let's go implement that now, because that's going to be kind of a fun one to do. So let's do async because it's going to do a Firebase call, so it's going to be like slow. Am I not playing music? I should be playing music. All right, there you go, music. All right, so async submit word. And then this is basically just gonna take the word out of, well, first let me refresh to show you the box. Take the word out of this box. Let me add a header for that. Submit word, so I have a label for the button, and then the submit your word. over here, this will be the place where I can just type in, right? So let's see, submit your word. I just need to pull this information out of submit your word, which is modeled to player.word. And it should go, let's see, into round.words, right? So all I need to do for that is submit, no, I need the Firestore thing, which is update room. So basically, oh wait, update room. And update room takes two functions. We're gonna take a look at this. It's in Firebase Network. Update room. It just has to go in and take a room, which basically it just pulls out the name of the room to identify what room to write things to. And it needs an update, which is a mapping of the thing you wanted to change in the room. It's usually a string to the thing that you're changing. What does that mean? Let's see. So this dot room, that one's kind of simple. And then the actual update I want to do is I want to change the rooms, the rounds of the words of the player. So that would look like basically round dot words dot, and for now I can say Austin. And this needs to be whatever the heck is in this submit your word thing, which is this dot player dot name, sorry, word. Okay. So one thing you have to watch out for is whenever you're typing code inside your Vue app to reference things in your data, you're gonna have to prefix it with this dot room, this dot player dot word. But you don't have to do it when you are typing code in your HTML. So over here, it's not this dot player name dot name, it's just player dot name. So this can kind of bite you badly if you forget the this here, and it'll just kind of say probably something like, oh, like I can't figure out what room is. So like, I'll try it here. If I remove this, and try to reset room, it'll tell me room is not defined. And usually that just means, oh, I forgot to put this dot room. I think it's probably okay if you actually put this dot in your HTML though. So maybe the safer thing to do is always put that in. Yeah, like this still works, right? So whatever. Okay, but I don't know. I don't like seeing this. I wish these thises didn't exist either, and everything would be cleaner. Okay, so you'll notice this is kind of hard-coded to Austin right now. That's a little bit unfortunate, but let's see if it works for now. So my word again was sheep. Let's submit it. Nothing happened, so hopefully it worked. How do I tell? In default room, the brown.words.austin is sheep. Cool. So again, if I change my player name and it hits sheep, like, I don't know, penguin, I said this should be Bob. What's probably gonna happen is I'm gonna overwrite on my table, my sheep to be a penguin. The reason is that this part, this name is hard-coded. So let's fix that. I'm gonna use what's called string interpolation. So this should be dot. And then string interpolation means I use a string that's created using backticks instead. I'm gonna put in this dot player dot name. So this will automatically fill with this dot player dot name, and the rest of this will just be part of the string. And then when you use backticks and string interpolation, you just have to kind of wrap it with a bracket when you're using something like array syntax. The other thing I could have done is like extract this out as like a constant, like const like update path equals this, and then like update path. This is maybe even like better code, but like I'm kind of lazy. I like combining things, so I'm gonna undo it all. Here we go. And now I expect that if I refresh this page, change the default player to be Bob, and then submit a word for Bob like penguin, this should now work. Austin, penguin, Bob, penguin. There we go. I'm gonna change my own word back to sheep. Make sure that still works. Hit submit word. There we go. Austin, sheep, Bob, penguin. Perfect. So you might think, oh, it's kind of annoying to have to go back every time to like look on this Firestore thing. I want to see it in my app, and that totally makes sense to me. So let's do something really basic just to show what the contents of the current room are. Let's see. I'm going to use a v4 actually. What does that mean? It's a fancy object. So for every word in the words dictionary, in the words map, I'm going to output the name of the person as well as the word that they chose in a new paragraph. So V for the current round's words. So room dot words, and then I'm going to iterate through both the keys and the values. So the values generally have to come first. So for the word and the player in room.words, now I'm going to be able to access word and player as if they were, regular JavaScript variables. So let's see, B, I'm going to bold it, player. Actually, I'm not going to bold this one. I'm going to bold the word instead. So just say the player's word was, and now I'll bold it, word. So I saved it, it reformatted it, and I'm hoping, okay. I'm hoping that if I add a new word here, so like sheep, it'll show up, but it didn't. So maybe I did this wrong. The room has a name of default. Oh, you know why? It's because locally in my current data, I don't actually have the thing that is in this default room. There's two ways I could solve this. I could try to download this data every time something happens, but that's kind of annoying to think about in my app logic. I would rather automatically have my application just always be up to date with here. So I actually have a little bit of magic to make that work. It is called listen room. So listen room takes in a view app. That's a view app is this thing. It takes in the thing that is created by view, and then it will listen to the room.name of the view app. And then anytime it changes, we're just gonna overwrite it with the data that we downloaded. So that sounds like exactly what we want. Let's just do that. When this app is created, immediately as it's created, we're just going to listen room for room this.room. That means that we'll basically get any updates to this.room and also download it to begin with, I think. Let's try. Okay, maybe I was wrong about the downloading to begin with part. But maybe we'll get the updates after something changes. Let's test that. I'm gonna upload sheep again. And nothing happened. Oh, that's sad. Oh, there's an error, that's why. Cannot read property name of undefined in listen room. So basically this had an undefined. Oh, I'm not supposed to pass in this room. I'm supposed to pass in view app. Silly me. So listen room with this. That should be good enough. Okay. So now if I submit a word like one more time, sheep, submit, nothing happens. Cool. That's not exactly what I was hoping to see, but this room.round.words did have sheep and penguin, so that's correct. So maybe the problem right now is just with my, oh yeah, room.round.words. So one more time, Control R. There we go. And yes, I was right. Austin word was word. Oops, that's a mistake. This is supposed to be the string interpolation of word. Okay, so Austin's word was sheep, Bob's word is penguin. And let me just actually prove to you that this is a game that is now networked in real time. So if I change my name to be Carol, and then I'm gonna say, what starts with N? I still don't know an animal that starts with N. Okay, animal that starts with N. Narwhal. Okay, why didn't I think of that? So Carol is gonna submit narwhal. Submit. And you can see on left and right, it immediately updated. So honestly, there we go. This is, you can think of it like a really simple chat application. It's a really simple game. It's all you really need to get started with having a Vue application that is networked. Now I believe I can click reset room. Everything's gonna disappear and I can start over.